Meanwhile, as we continue our coverage on the war in Ukraine, started 9 months ago. Since then, the fighting is now primarily in the eastern portion of the country, but the western half still faces danger from the sky. So tonight, we are checking in with Nick Quattrini. He is with our sister station out of Elmira, New York, but he is on the ground in Lviv, Ukraine tonight to talk about, Nick, the ongoing threat there. What are you seeing? What are you hearing, Nick? Good evening.
Well, good evening. Primarily here in western Ukraine, the threat comes from the sky. Now, we're talking about rockets, missiles, drones. Now, earlier today, we caught up with one local man who lives here in Lviv, who also happens to be a former member of the military. This is dashcam footage from a recent string of missile attacks across Ukraine. Lviv was one of the regions hit.
When you see the missile in the sky, it's really scary, and you understand that it brings only death, and you just think only the worst things about Russia and Russians, and you just cannot understand how human being can be so cruel and unimaginably cruel.
Miroslav is a former member of the army for the former Soviet Union. He explains what Russia is targeting in Ukraine and in his city of Lviv.
So primarily they are hitting the infrastructure, critical infrastructure, so energy objects, plane repair plants, tank repair plants.
And with utilities being targeted, electric and gas service is being disrupted all across Ukraine. For some people in Lviv, they're sandbagging first floor windows or entrances, and the city is also trying to protect another important resource. They're trying to preserve their history.
But Lviv is protected by UNESCO. We have lots of Renaissance statues, a lot of Baroque statues in Lviv, so they need to be protected. So that's why we put them in such boxes, not just to protect them from damaging.
Now, the residents here in Lviv, they have a warning system. When that siren goes off, they are to take cover and seek shelter from those incoming missiles. And we've spoken to some of the residents here, and they said sometimes they're in the shelter for a few minutes and sometimes even for a few hours. Reporting live in Lviv, Ukraine, Nick Quattrini, Erie News Now. Back